Hello, welcome. This is episode 74 of So Well Spoken. I'm Morris. With me is Mike.
Yo.
And Angelus.
Yo.
We have an outline for the podcast, but it's been postponed it a couple times. So this was before January 6th, our outline. So we figured that we should probably just outright and talk about the little coup attempt that happened on the 6th at the Capitol building before we go into our more structured part of the podcast. So Donald Trump had a rally on the 6th where he was stoking his followers, and it ended with a lot of MAGA Republicans rushing the Capitol building, and it ended with the death of a handful of people, including a police officer and some of the people who flew in for the protest. And the fallout is still kind of being calculated, it feels like, where the Democrats are being very aggressive with trying to keep everyone's attention on this, while certain Republicans like Howley and Ted Cruz are telling everyone to chill out and that we need to unify and forget about their little coup attempt. So it's a weird time in American history in that this is a major historical event that still has not concluded and is encompassing both lawmakers and people in Congress as somewhat complicit in this investigation of attempting to overthrow the government.
To quote the chief from Pocahontas, these white men are dangerous. Like, that's basically what sums it up for me, because it's just like, it's crazy how the whole thing even went down. Like, you've got a bunch of men and women like just amped up by Trump who stormed the Capitol in a whole coup attempt. And it's just like the way that the media and just America in general are responding to it, it's kind of weird, because it's like, yo, this is a thing that happened, you know, and everybody's like trying to quote unquote move past it. And it's like, bro, it was a coup attempt. Like you don't move past that. Like that has like wounded our democracy. Even if people don't want to admit it, like it wounds the democracy that we have when something like that goes down. And if you talk to people who have come from different countries where there have been coup attempts and things like that, they'll tell you like, bro, just because that the attempt is over doesn't mean the damage isn't done. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a coup. It's French for like to strike or like to hit. So like if I punch somebody, you know, I might hit them once or twice, but the damage is still there. Like you're still hurt from it. And that's the same thing that can be said for our democracy. You know, like we can't really fully know to what extent damage was done, but there was damage done. And I imagine that there are a lot of other countries who are looking at this like, oh, damn, it's that easy? Like, we just got to put some white men in there and we're good? Like, oh, okay, like, we've been doing this all wrong. Like, we've been trying to go through their machines and spreading disinformation, yada, yada, yada. All we had to do was just have a bunch of white men storm. And
technically, the misinformation led into that. So, hey.
I mean, and to a degree, but I mean, even without that, this shit would have happened, because you've got this person in charge who basically can tell you what the fuck ever, and you're like, oh yeah. And it's just like, there's no accountability at all. Like, and I don't think anything's going to really happen, because it's like, yeah, a couple people got arrested and they're going to spend like maybe a few months in prison, but ultimately it's like they're being treated with kitty gloves right now for a fucking full-on insurrection. Like, for full-on sedition, it's kitty gloves. And you've got half of our political system saying, oh, you know, this sets a bad example, and look at the Democrats trying to divide. Like, bitch, you stormed the Capitol, bro. Like, in any other country, you would be in prison and or hell, executed. But here it's just like, oh, men will be men. Like, let's cut them some slack, you know? And it's like, oh God. And as everybody's pointed out, you know, like how they treat these white people versus how they would treated black people during these same kind of things is crazy. You know, like when there was even the whiff of a Black Lives Matter protest going down in DC, the fucking Capitol was barricaded. They had all kinds of guards there, and like they had military presence. But for these folks who they had knowledge that this was going to happen, they're just, oh, well, you know, I doubt anything's going to happen. And now look at it.
Yeah, it's it's an ongoing thing with this country, and its refusal to take white supremacists seriously. It hurts not just national security, but it kind of endangers the whole world given how much power this country has. Like, it's too, we have too much power to be this vulnerable to white supremacist terrorists.
I agree.
Like Angelus was saying, the people who went into the Capitol building and some of the people who were arrested for stealing property from within the Capitol building, the charges they have them written up on are like really are slaps on the wrist as it stands today. I'm not sure if that changes in the future, but like right now, their charges is like pale in comparison to some people who were peacefully protesting in their own communities.
Yeah. Like I think one guy was only getting like the one. I think it's the one who broke into Nancy Pelosi's office and stole some mail. He's getting up to a maximum of a year, and I'm like, bro, I would get more if I got caught with a sizable amount of weed. Like, come on, man. Like that's some nonsense, bro.
I would just remember that day, just kind of sitting there, just at work, like, all right, they gonna count the votes or whatever. A whole bunch of white folks outside screaming and hollering, and as soon as I got a whiff of like them actually breaking through the barricades and stuff, they really didn't break through. They got let in, but these niggas were actually breaking through the Capitol, and they ain't touching nobody. And of course, I saw some skirmishes here and there and nothing like that. And of course, later on, we saw people actually getting shot, and that one instance, but nothing to the extent that we always see we saw last summer during all the BLM protests and stuff like that. So yeah, the irony wasn't, missed on me. It was just like, oh yeah, even in one of the most sacred places that they always claim BLM was going to attack, like government actual buildings and stuff like that. It never got to that point. It was just random private property at most, at max. But these dudes actually like ran through the Capitol, fam, and they're just now seeing any consequences. And and I'm like, Angelus, they're only going to touch like the little people. They're not going to touch what we want to see. Most citizens that want to see that are really actually upset about the whole situation. Is like seeing the Republicans like Ted Cruz, Howley, Trump, of course, actually get held accountable for their actions. Like I'm hearing the 25th Amendment being tossed around, but we did research on that. That seems unlikely. And that's not even because like Pence won't do it. It's more so because like literally, I don't think you can literally do that. Based on the state of mind that Trump is in, he can literally be like, I'm good, dog. That's the way it's written. It's kind of weird, but impeachment just so that dude can't run again, which I think is a good option. 14th Amendment is there too. So the House is setting it up and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's anything more doing. Biden says he's still going to try to get inaugurated outside. I'm like, I don't know, bro. I wouldn't trust it. I know you're trying to show like a brave face for America, but hey, I wouldn't be mad if he was like inside. Like I'm not. Hey, you ain't got to be that gangster. But yeah, it's been a wild week and seeing. Well, the thing is, I've been listening to NPR all week, and so like when you was like, no, everybody's trying to move past it. Like everybody's been digging their heels into like the Republican Party on NPR. So I think. The fact that that's like the only news source that I know is going to cover stuff in a way that actually makes sense is wild to me. Because if everybody's really trying to move past it, which I mean, that's the worst option.
It's the absolute worst option.
Because this is like Reconstruction, fucking post Civil War shit all over again, where like niggas is trying to like, okay, well we forgive you and you do this, and then all of a sudden the Ku Klux Klan is a thing, that type of deal, and you're letting them kind of get off the hook.
Yep.
The best thing that's happened so far, I think, is a lot of the social media platforms finally cracking down on the white supremacists because they didn't take it seriously either. They just left their asses up there for like 44 plus years of Trumpism, and then once it actually finally coalesced into something like major, that now they want to actually press the button when they could have pressed it like 4 years ago, and it wouldn't have looked as suspicious as it does now when they all of a sudden doing it. But. Hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting 2021. What a way to start the year. What a way.
And the FBI put out that warning to local law enforcement that there's talk of further attacks on Capitol buildings in all 50 states.
I can see that. They were doing that during the they were doing something, I think in Portland, I want to say. They had like some like protests and demonstrations and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, even in LA, there's people who protested down by City Hall and it
Yeah.
got violent.
Mm.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me
Nah.
if we see more violence in the near future.
Yeah.
Trump has been lying to his base nonstop since he started his campaign. But like the big lie that he underestimated was that he kept telling them that the election was stolen from them. And too many media outlets were just saying what he was saying. Trump says the election was stolen from him without putting in proper context that he's fucking lying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of past that point. It's like what they needed to do in his run up to attempting to be president. Because now so many of his supporters don't even watch those networks anymore.
No, they're off that. Like Fox is having a whole rebranding after the election. They're shifting so much around. I read like their programming and stuff like that because of the competition that they now have with like the alternative networks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's oof. That's kind of the thing I'm hoping from that is that the division actually causes the Republican Party to kind of collapse. That's like the best thing that can come out of this is just like an actual dissolution of the current Republican Party. Because without that, I don't think we can really move forward in any meaningful way. Because they always try to like undercut us and shit like that. So maybe it's a start to that. If we're looking optimistically,
Like this is so touchy, so touch and go right now
it
because
is.
Up until the day that Biden is put in the office, it's like anything could happen. No one has any idea how it's going to go down. But what's funny is that January 6th, amongst white supremacists and Trump supporters and Republicans, they were all hyping each other up that the 6th was going to be the day. Like they're going to make their voices be heard. And like for the local DC police to be so ill prepared for it, it just goes to show you how unserious we are about white supremacy in this country.
All right.
Like they told you, they called their shot. They said they were going to march to the Capitol. And if it had been any other protest group, there would have been a much stronger force waiting for them there. A lot of the things that occurred wouldn't have occurred. In many instances, being told by police officers like how to get in and where to go in the building. Like, can you fucking imagine anyone else getting that kind of treatment? It's absurd.
I don't know, man. We'll see what's going on as the year goes on. I think that was a wonderful start to the year. Like it's just like 2020 part 2 all over. You know what? Really, this is like a 4-part series of Trump's America, and we're just nearing the season 4 finale. Hopefully, because I don't want to see that dude again ever. But I already know how presidents are post their term, and he may run again in like 4 years if they don't impeach him or do the 14th Amendment. So we'll see.
Like, I still feel like news outlets aren't, they're saying how ashamed and like disgusting this was, but they're not explicitly saying what is happening. Whereas it looks pretty clear that Trump sent a mob to go kill people at the Capitol building, including the vice president.
I don't know. It's just I don't think modern and a few of the talking heads on NPR were talking about this. Like it seems like the media just really needs to start just telling the truth. Everybody else kind of be damned in a sense, because what ends up happening is it like when you like the whole issue with the Trumpism in the past 4 years is that no one's been trying to fight the misinformation. It's just like you said earlier, Trump said this, and then with no like fact checking or anything like that. I'm even surprised like Twitter even had like a thing during the election that said misinformation at the bottom of all of Trump and his ilk's tweets and stuff like that. I thought that was fucking amazing because like nobody was like trying to really call him out outside of like individual people. And that works terribly because it's like, why should I believe your little single platform over like Fox or whatever, who would just run with stories and stuff like that, and everybody else is just basically just telling the news as is, in some sense of like trying to be like unbiased or whatever, when it doesn't make sense to be unbiased when somebody's clearly lying, you know. So I don't know why news outlets aren't just telling the truth and just like say, all right, whatever it is, just say it and then say, hey, this is not the truth. This is unfounded. Doesn't make sense, whatever. And then move on. It doesn't even take that much effort to do that. But I guess these news corporations and media outlets just really want to keep that bottom line dollar, thinking they're going to lose people by being but what seems to some people as picking a side, you know. But then some of these news outlets already have picked a side in a way. So I don't get it. I don't see the point. That's why I'm also shout out NPR all today, because they've really, the way they've handled it, it was really awesome. I suggest everybody, if you want to listen to the news in a really good fashion, just to go to NPR and support your public broadcasting system, because they're the ones actually putting in the fucking work of actually doing the real journalism during this situation.
All right, to flash back to Christmas. Last month in Nashville, Anthony Quinn Warner, a 63-year-old, killed himself on 2nd Avenue in downtown Nashville. It's an attack that injured 8 other people and damaged more than 40 buildings, including an AT&T transmission facility. For this story kind of came and went, and at first it seemed like that was a big issue, but now there's kind of bigger news in the news. The insurrection kind of overshadows everything. But even before that became a news story, there was 2 weeks in which this story was brought up, and then it seemed like major news outlets didn't have a narrative to tie to it, because this guy is just kind of a conspiracy theorist of a different variety. There's some belief that he is like a 5G truther who thinks the 5G transmission is like brainwashing people. He parked his RV and broadcast the voice telling anyone who could hear the voice to evacuate. So people don't think that he was trying to hurt people.
But of course he did.
He hurt 8 people. It was playing the song Downtown. The article says it's a song about the bustle of downtown and how it can cure a lonely person's troubles. And it sounds like a straight up scene out of the Joker. And in the aftermath of this, there was packages sent out, including thumb drives, where he was espousing his beliefs in lizard people and other such conspiracy theories, like the moon landing didn't happen and that 9/11 was orchestrated by other means.
Jeez, we still on that?
He wrote that the end of the world was supposed to be September 2011, and he believed that aliens were launching attacks on Earth that the government was covering up. This guy was just in deep into a lot of conspiracy theories.
Not even like the new shit. He's on the old shit. Lizard people? Like,
yeah, that's stuff's been around for so long.
That's like the stereotype of what we think of conspiracy theorists now. Like most of it's like deep state QAnon shit, right? Nowadays. And like, damn, man, he was gone then. I heard that his ex-girlfriend had reported him last year.
Yeah, they got reported, and she said that he was building bombs in his RV.
Yep.
But when the cops showed up, they said she was making suicidal threats, and so they put her into custody to get mental help.
Yeah, and they also said that they knocked on the guy's door and he didn't answer, so they were like, okay.
So case closed.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Police are fucking useless, though.
Bruh. All she had to do was report and say there was some black people with weed, and the police would have been there with a whole SWAT, kicked down the door, and shot like 8 people, like, immediately. But a bomb? Hey, man.
The Nashville police chief, John Drake, said, "I believe officers did everything they could legally. Maybe we could have followed up more. Hindsight is 20/20. The officers did not have probable cause to get a search warrant. There was a call for service on a lady who had 2 guns who needed care, and so she needed some assistance. There's nothing else to say. Okay, yeah, you have to have probable cause.
That's not what stop y'all from other shit.
Bruh. If they don't have probable cause, they'll make that shit up on the spot.
The woman's attorney is the one who called the police. And the police chief claims that the attorney told them that they couldn't check his RV, but the lawyer said he wasn't representing the terrorist at the time. He's like, he had no say in that, what they were going to do with that man, because he wasn't his client. He said he was not a current client of mine at that point in time. I certainly would not have told him to not check it out when I'm the one who said, go the hell over there, find out what's going on. So it just sounds like incompetent cops as well was an issue here.
Ruin niggas this Christmas because they didn't want to do the work. That sucks. I remember reading it that morning and kind of not really just taking 2 looks at it because it's just like, I didn't really want that on my to read all that, had all that in my spirit on Christmas. So, but as the days went on and more stuff came out, just like, bro, what the fuck is going on, dog? And to know and to learn that, it's from a more misinformation, conspiracy bullshit that led to what we had this past week. It's like, yo, like, how do we stop this misinformation and conspiracy shit, dog? Like, I can't even fathom. This is just one dude. And like people were pointing out, it's like, all it takes is one person. Like, big groups are funnily enough easier to handle than like, individual actors in these type of situations. This dude blew up a whole city block. That's a street.
Yeah, and I had to go like look for photos of downtown Nashville after the bombing, and it looks like it's a war zone.
Yeah, it's terrible. I hate it for the people that live there and have to deal with that shit. On a day in a year that's been pretty shitty. Just so they can probably just say, "Hey, Christmas, okay, I get some life out of this, dreadful year," and boom, sucks. I really it points to cops also being incompetent in these situations and not really just stepping up when they easily can. It's frustrating.
Very. And it's like somebody pointed out, some personality on Twitter pointed out, she was like, yo, America just shrugged off an entire bombing like it was nothing. Like, yo, like, that's crazy. Because when, what was it, Beirut? They had that accidental explosion. Like, everybody knew about it. Even America was like, holy crap, that's crazy. That was on the news for like maybe like a week or so. And it's like, we had this bombing. It's like, oh, well, that happens. And it's like, bro, what? It's so weird, man. And, there is also this other component that people don't want to mention, but it's like, had that person not been pale, had a little bit more melanin, of a different religion, despite the fact maybe he was still, conspiracy theorist, this would have been on the news alongside this insurrection for weeks. Like, oh my God, like these terrorists, they're building bombs and blowing up for no reason now. And it's like, but it's a white dude, so it's like, oh well, he was crazy. What can you do? Just move on with our lives. And it's like, I really hate that about America, that how easily this country moves on from a tragedy. Like they don't want to stop to reflect or anything. It's like, oh man, school shooting, that sucks. Okay, Ned, well, let's go about our lives. Like, it's so frustrating.
All right, what's also annoying is COVID still around, and it's not looking like it's going anywhere.
It was either early this month or late last month when the congressman from Louisiana died due to complications from COVID. Luke Letlow. He
didn't get that Trump cocktail.
It's a Republican congressman, by the way.
He was holding maskless events, and as recently as November was arguing for lifting COVID restrictions.
It'd be the same ones, just like saying the same
every time.
Shit. And then they just like, boom, they end up dying. And they're not in the immediate Trump circle, so they end up catching a big L. So, yeah, it spread like crazy over the holidays, too. I know LA got hit particularly hard, too. Like,
and during the insurrection on January 6th, when all the Congress people were rushed out of the building, there were members of the Republican Party who refused to put on masks despite being locked down in close proximity with other people.
Yeah, so that means like that it was his own little super spreader event in itself. Mm-hmm. I heard a few of the people, staff and stuff like that got COVID. or you know.
Yeah, Rep Bonnie Watson Coleman tested positive.
And it's because they just didn't give a shit about everybody else in there. Like they was like, no, we don't feel like putting on masks, and they're just like, you know, so all these. Given how we always point out how old Congress is, there's a lot of at-risk people in that outside of the situation that was going on outside. There's a lot of at-risk people in that whatever secret area they were at. It's amazing that their own can die from just doing this shit, like not wearing masks and yet still don't give a fuck about anybody else knowing the effects of this disease. They just literally do not give a shit about anybody else. I mean, I don't really feel sorry for old dude. I mean, he had a whole year. It ain't like it's like, you know, it was like in March or something and he died. It's like, oh no, damn, somebody got killed by this new virus. It's like, no, we had this shit for about 9 months at that point. So shit, you should know better. And if you're not doing better, then and you get sick and you're in the hospital, I mean, something has to come to you. But shit, I don't know, man. I'm just ready for these vaccines to run through. Trump is really fucking that up. Trump and Pence fucking that up. Hopefully, Biden wants to fast track as soon as he gets in.
It doesn't seem like Pence or Trump are even doing anything with it.
They're not. They're really kind of just like the entire Trump administration right now is just basically scattered because you got like Trump doing his own thing right now. Pence is kind of like got, funnily enough, betrayed by Trump, so he's been quiet. I think Pompeo's the only one actually doing like Secretary of State shit. Everybody else is resigning. So really the only person that's up there that's probably doing anything high in government is like Fauci, and that's it. And what he's doing now is probably just talking with Biden and his team, who wants to fast track the vaccinations or whatever, so we can at least be on like the second vaccination sooner than later.
Yeah, Fauci said that the best case scenario is that the current administration works hand in hand with the future administration, but that has not been happening. So whenever we get to that day where we could, with more peace in mind, go out and go back to whatever the new normal is, it will be like literal months longer than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Just because Trump is trying to overthrow the government right now.
Yeah. It's like a theme. Like we didn't plan this, but it's like a theme that one insurrection thing like was like led by like a whole bunch of different other events. It's kind of weird, but yeah, even that. Yeah. Oh, this is also what I heard. Basically, if the Congress is going through with their impeachment stuff, that's going to hold off the vaccine stuff too. So Biden will have to deal with like Congress going through their motions with the impeachment and try to get his stuff done. But he needs Congress to get anything done when it comes to the vaccine. So it's kind of like either you fast track the vaccine like you want to, or you deal with basically the remnants of Trump, which he's going to have to deal with anyways. But like as soon as he gets in, he has to deal with both of those. So,
yeah, the problems he knew were on his plate have grown bigger.
Yeah. So that's I don't envy his position. I never envy anybody that's in the presidential or any type of high-ranking government official, but I definitely envy his position right now, dude. Like I can't imagine. I thought coming after Bush was bad. Jesus.
And another like connection between the Capitol insurrection and COVID was there were Republican like YouTube celebrities there who had recently tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Like it would be hard for them to have done a shittier thing that day than what they did.
Yeah, they were just being trash. That's why I don't. Sorry to say this, but when I heard old girl got shot, I shrugged. It's gonna be like, oh,
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry, fam. Like you ran up in a Capitol building and didn't think. Look, I'm more surprised they didn't put hands or bullets or on a lot of you people. The one that got it, like, you know, I'm not surprised. Not surprised, and I'm not sorry. It's just like, your ass shouldn't have been up in there.
Pretty much. Like, you shouldn't have been in the first place. And then on top of that, you tried to enter a part of the thing that was barricaded where the Senate members are being held by Secret Service agents. One of the agents told you, hey, don't go through that door. And she's like, fuck, I'm going through the door. And he said, fuck around and find out. She got popped in the net. Like, you still be alive right now. Trump didn't gas you up. Like, I don't know what you want.
That Trump literally got 5 people killed for no reason. Like, just off like the strength of his own words, he got like 5 people killed. And the fact that people don't realize that or aren't pressing on that is an issue, definitely. Yeah.
His crowd beat a cop to death.
Right. No, seriously. Mr. Law and Order and Blue Lives Matter over here fucking got a cop killed. Like, where is the cognitive dissonance starting is going to start anytime soon? Like, shit. Like, to be honest, I don't want to hear any right-wing person say shit to me about protests, riots, or anything after that shit they pulled. I don't want to hear a goddamn thing. After the shit they pulled, I don't want to hear anything. We can have a riot this year for whatever reason, and whatever they do, and I'm going to be looking at them like, yep, still not worse than earlier this year. just on the basis of what happened. It's fucking dumb. Well, let's get off. Let's get to some more Gallant news coming from New York. So Soho Karen.
This wasn't a big story when I initially wrote the outline for this.
It wasn't.
Like she got interviewed by Gail and got blown up. Miya Ponsetta. I don't know what she does, but she was at a Soho boutique hotel in Manhattan at the same time as musician Kenyon Harold. And she misplaced her phone, and Harold and his son were coming out in an elevator when she accused him. She accused his son of stealing her iPhone. I think I have the audio for it. I'll play the audio.
Please. Show me this is my phone. Show me. No.
You don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back. Please.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No. Okay, then show me the.
No,
show me all my...
you get a life
over there. No, what's on your background?
You better go find my iPhone. Go do that.
Find my iPhone is on. On that right
no, you can't. No.
I'm the manager of the hotel.
I don't care.
He will
this
right
is my
now.
son.
Hey,
did you see me just come downstairs out of the fucking elevator?
I'm trying to help.
No, but you're not helping.
I
what
am.
you've been is disrespectful.
No, I'm trying to settle the situation.
My son has nothing to do with her.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the lobby.
Then show me the proof. No, he's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you kidding me? You better get on.
I need you away.
Let's go, kid.
I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Better get on somewhere,
No, please
lady.
get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Listen, get your ass.
And so after the events in the video, you could tell she tackled the man's son.
That's assault, by the way.
Yeah, he was 14 years old. She's 22 years old. She seems to be under the impression that it's the same difference. This video is just so blood boiling because the father in the video handles it so much better than I think I ever could in the heat of the moment. She still, after the fact, claims that he assaulted her and like she's not at fault at all.
Yeah, she did that shit. Guilty as fuck.
Like they videotaped it. We could all see what happened. Like there's no gray area here.
They got you in 4K? Hey, yo, I don't know, dog. This situation, I remember seeing the situation. It's like, all right, another Karen doing the fucking most, like tackling this kid or whatever over something that she got like, a few hours later from the hotel?
Yeah, the hotel ended up having her phone somehow.
Yeah, like, probably more like somebody found it, like one of the housekeepers found it or some shit like that. Turned it in lost and found. Boom, easy. Like Buddy said, use your Find My iPhone feature. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And she turned it from she basically went from 0 to 100 for no fucking reason. On some just so she can tackle a 14-year-old kid. Her big 22-year-old ass wanted to tackle a 14-year-old kid, and then want to come back and act like she's innocent.
Yeah. Then she told Gail that she's like, I'm a 22-year-old girl, and later on she said he's a 14-year-old man. I'm like, all right, man. All right.
The Gail interview just was like the icing on the top. I wasn't expecting nothing out of that. I just saw it on the timeline. I was like, oh, Gail interviewed the girl from that Taco Boy. Let me listen. And I didn't know how cringy that was gonna get. She told Gail enough, and I was like, hold on. First of all, did you just tackle somebody? Like she really doesn't have any type of self-awareness at all. Like absolutely none. Her lawyer, I feel so sorry for a lawyer.
Her lawyer released a statement after the interview saying how she's like obviously unwell and she's giving her legal advice, but she's not following any of it.
I can see, yeah.
Her lawyer looks so confused and lost at the interview. She's just like, "Why am I here? This is crazy."
When he said Gail enough, and she's like, no.
That was so infuriating when she put her hand up and was like, enough. I was like, yo, I would have snapped.
Ooh, Gail has the constitution of like a rock because she was there for the R. Kelly screaming and hollering and shit. So that little girl was like nothing compared to that. But I would have probably went off like, hold on, who the fuck you think you talking to?
Yeah, I would have lost my job that day. Like
probably, yeah. Yeah, that was.
And so a few minutes after the interview, the police tracked her down and tried to take her into custody, but she wouldn't pull over. And she ended up going back to her house where she was finally taken into custody, but not until she assaulted an officer in the process.
So she has a history, clearly.
Oh, yeah. People pulled up receipts on her. She's been arrested twice before for public intoxication, and she has a DUI.
You know what? That was probably the one good thing that happened last week. Oh, outside of Warnock and, Ossoff winning. But yeah, that was probably one of the other good things that happened last week. Because that was, I don't, people like this, like people are like, why are you giving her attention? It's like, this is probably the one time I would usually say some shit like that. Like, why are you giving her attention? Like, nah, to see her show her ass the way she is, like, it was worth it. I got some entertainment out of it.
And this woman is dangerous.
She is. She like assaulted a police officer and a 14-year-old kid.
And the way she so easily manipulates reality. Like if there's no video camera there, there's no one taking any video of her. She could have got someone into some serious trouble.
No, for sure. Or hurt, Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope she going to jail for a long time because she already got a history. And she's like assaulting a police officer. Hopefully, put her behind bars. Hopefully, because
man, we already know people like that don't go to prison for things like that. Man, come on.
She said she was Greek, Italian, and Puerto Rican.
Well, she said she is a woman of color.
Yeah.
It's like various shades of white. Like whatever.
Like,
that's funny because seeing that video, I was telling my wife, I was like, I was just hoping she wasn't Hispanic, and she turned out to be Puerto Rican.
I did too. I had that same thought, like, bro, please. And I'm like, she looks Italian, and Italians be fucking up everybody's perception of who they are. Ariana Grande. And then she said Puerto Rican. I was like, shit. Like, damn. Like, she can claim it, but we ain't gonna accept it. That's definitely gonna be one of them situations where it's like, nah, bro, you like what 1%? Don't count.
And it's just not being a person of color is not a get out of jail free card to be racist.
It's not, dog.
How can I be racist?
You clearly had some preconceptions of the 14-year-old stole your phone when you was just coming down the fucking elevator.
The way that the hotel manager and security were on her side from the jump was so gross.
That was trash too. That was they definitely don't. Oof. No, what
how are you gonna put pressure on a 14-year-old boy like that? You have no idea if he's done anything in front of his father. It's just like so many things done wrong in the course of them trying to figure out how to smooth out that situation. Because the first thing is like if that guy's staying at the hotel, don't worry, he's not going anywhere. Like we have all his information. Like if he did steal your phone, like you'll get it back. But the thing is, they didn't. They didn't do anything. They had no business with that woman. She was just losing her shit because she forgot her phone somewhere.
Yeah, this is another classic example of like Karen's getting caught out here,
and just how authority figures treat people.
Yeah,
they were just along for the ride just because she said so,
and they ended up being complicit because they didn't help anybody out at the end of the day. To be honest,
and it's very similar to what's happening with Donald Trump. Is that the subconscious white supremacy has lurked into their decision making and they can't acknowledge it.
They can't, because the way she's talking is like, I'm just sitting here just like, I'm a sweet girl. I'm like, are you?
I saw you tackle a child.
Right. It's like, how do you get there? I get how you get there, but it's like, I can't fathom. I guess the way I am now, I'm like, I try to be very self aware, like what I do to other people, how I say things and stuff like that. So it just doesn't click for me that people still want to like be shitty and then flip it as if they're the victim at all times. Like that shit doesn't register to me, man. It just doesn't. And if she's like big 22 acting like this, then I don't see that changing for a long time.
Shit, if ever.
Yeah. Did you guys enjoy any movies over the Christmas holiday?
Tenet.
I saw Tenet, yeah. That was unfortunate.
I still haven't seen it yet, and the reviews are kind of scaring me. So
I think you should watch it. It's worth watching, I'll say.
I agree with that.
No movie tries to do what it's doing, but it's also
of course it's Nolan, so he just does shit sometimes. So yeah, I get it.
I also saw Wonder Woman, and that was depressing.
I actually liked it.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, but in a more like, they could have definitely did better, but it was okay. I enjoyed it. Let's move on. Type deal. It wasn't like I was like enamored by it or anything like that. I enjoyed Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. I'm surprised they went with the origin they did with the character too. They went the old Catwoman way. So I was like, oh, not the rapey totem guy thing. Interesting. I know why Patty didn't go for that, but interesting. But then they ended up doing that plot line with something else, and it's kind of unfortunate. I saw Soul. I'm not a fan of Soul.
I haven't watched it yet.
Do you care if we spoil Soul for you, Angelus?
Go for it, bro.
Because I also saw Soul.
Hey, man, go for it. I'm probably never going to watch it, not going to lie to you.
And I didn't have high expectations for it because it's a Disney movie.
Yeah, that's why I haven't seen it yet. I'm just like, eh.
But it starts off really strong, I will say.
It does.
The first like 10, 20 minutes of that movie is very, very strong. And I would say like the visuals of it never stop being good. It's really nice to look at. It's a great looking movie.
Pixar at this point. It's just on point. Yeah.
And the soundtrack is really well done. It's just, man, that story has so many problems.
Really good message, but it's just like, it's wrapped up in like the whole black person turning into something else trope, and it just ruins it. Like it just, I fell asleep like in the middle of it, to be honest, and I woke up like after the big reveal where, you know, the character blows up at another character and the other character feels. It was like watching Wreck-It Ralph again. Actually, it was. I don't know. It was just like, I've seen this before. It's a mix of I've seen this before and like y'all really took the one black character and turned him into an animal again. Like, yo, really? Again? Will Smith was just a bird or whatever the fuck it was like last year. They put so much focus on Tina Fey's character too. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
It felt like early on in the movie there's so many possibilities for where the story was going to go, and it just went to an old played out place.
Mm-hmm.
And it had such a, like you said, it has a really good message, especially like around the holidays, of living your life to the fullest means different things to different people. And something as simple as like taking a walk on a nice day can be spiritually fulfilling, and to like be appreciative of the little things in life. And that message is still delivered. Like I would, if your kids are interested in it, or you have kids who you want to show a movie, like this isn't outright offensive in any way.
No,
like it's a nice little story, but the body switcheroo thing with Tina Fey was very eye rolly and unnecessary, and the limited amount of time that Jamie Foxx is voicing a black character in a black body is a letdown. And I would even be more okay with him as the disembodied soul of the person he was playing was in most of the movie, but a large part of the movie he's in a cat's body, and it's not very interesting when he is. And there's like a part in the movie where Tina Fey is just straight up, she runs off with his body, and it's just like, oh my god, why are they doing this? It feels like either at the end of the day there was a white person signing off on decisions, or there wasn't a strong enough presence of black creatives in this process. Because it had a chance to be a black story, and it doesn't really feel like it was when the movie's over. It feels like a Pixar movie that happens to have some black characters in it. And some of the scenes are really good, like the ones in the barbershop or the one where he talks to his mom. Like those moments are really nice in this movie. But it's just, they're kind of not really the main focus of the movie by the end of it.
Damn, that's disappointing to hear. But, like, I saw people talking about the things that they didn't like about it. They were talking about, like, the body swapping and how it kind of undermines the entire story in their opinion. And yeah, it sounds disappointing. Like, I had no urge to see it because it was a Pixar movie, and I'm like, somehow I was like, Disney Pixar, I don't think they're going to get the nuances at all. Like, it's just like it was a bunch of white people who made this, and they had like one black voice in there, and they went on Twitter and they got photos of black people to get the look right, but it was just through and through a white story, and it's just like, I'm good. Like, y'all make those all the time. I'm good.
Thing is, I really like Coco. So I thought they would have tried to go into it with a little bit more reverence towards the subject matter, and they didn't.
I feel like Coco was like a one-off.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
I'm starting to see that now. It definitely was a one-off. Like, if it ain't Toy Story or like their occasional like just really good movies or whatever, Pixar can be hit or miss. Definitely, and I think it's just because they've been at it for so long that they can have a few misses. I don't really care. They got some good movies in their catalog, so it's not really that big of a deal. And like I said, and like Moris said, it's a cute little movie. You can still watch it. It's just, I feel like it should have been like a good 30-minute short, though. I think if you would have played around with the plot a little bit more and made it about a guy dying and figuring out like what his actual dreams and stuff were and how to fulfill his life or whatever, you can cut out the entire Tina Fey plot or whatever, and it would have been a really great story. But yeah, it was okay. Other than that, I just hope this year has a lot more movies because I didn't really see shit out the Bad Boys 3 last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Damn.
That was January, actually. It's funny enough.
We're coming up on the anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I didn't really watch too much. Or rather, I should say I didn't really watch too many American films. Watched some foreign stuff, but all in all, my movie watching was down this year for obvious reasons.
Same.
But I mean, I just went back and rewatched some of my favorite movies and just called it a day, really. Like, right now, I'm watching Montage, which is a Korean film. It's really good. I highly recommend everybody watch it. I won't spoil anything, but holy plot twist. But like, as far as like movies in general, I don't know. Like, I haven't really been looking forward to anything, honestly, entertainment wise, in that degree. Like, I don't know how I've been maintaining this last year, to be honest. Like, it's really a blur, those 12 months, like what I did on a day-to-day basis. Like, but I made it. That's all I got.
I watched Cobra Kai over the New Year.
I didn't even watch that. I think the last thing I remember watching and enjoying was The Boys Season 2.
Yeah, I did see that at the tail end of the year.
Yeah,
no,
like, hey, look, it's America.
But no, like, legit. Watch Cobra Kai. It's actually really good. If you like The Karate Kid, though. Only if you actually like watching the first 3 movies.
And I'm keeping a buck. I barely remember those movies other than
rewatch
the Leg.
Rewatch the first because this is what I did. My girlfriend's friend told her about it. He said it was Power Rangers plus 13 Reasons. And I was like, nigga, what? I was like, what kind of description is that? But he's right to a degree. But yeah, so I was like, you know what, babe? Because she'd never seen any of the Karate Kid movies. I was like, watch the first one. She enjoyed it. She jumped right into Cobra Kai. And I have never seen a nostalgia piece done so well. Like, it's clearly like meant to be like, you know how like you get like remakes or reboots or like fast forwards for like a whole bunch of different series or whatever, and you watch and it's like they don't care. They're just there for the check or whatever, and it's done for a season, right? They really take the love for like the Karate Kid and its history and it's in like every episode. Well paced, the fight scenes look great. Daniel and Johnny still can do the stuff, and I'm like surprised. I mean, it looks kind of hokey at times, like also Power Ranger shit. I mean, even kind of worse than that in some ways, but it's actually really good. It's really fun to watch. The characters are develop and grow, and I would suggest rewatching at least the first 2 movies, so you can kind of get a good feel about the cast, because like some characters come back. I think almost every major character that was in the original movies have come back. Yeah, in some form or fashion, except Mr. Miyagi, of course. Rest in peace, Pat Morita. But yeah, pretty much everybody's come back so far. Only person that hasn't come back is Hilary Swank, because she was like the next Karate Kid, but she said she was interested in coming back.
What about Jaden?
You know, I tweeted this. I was like, you know, I wouldn't mind Jaden on it either. I think it would be really cool to kind of have him as like some type of offshoot, like dojo or something like that. But it's actually really well done. Really well done. There's also a kid that reminds me of Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World, and it's kind of weird. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty good.
Or I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, just rewatch the first 2 movies and the third one if you're in the mood. But yeah,
damn, you're asking me for a lot, bro. I'm gonna start with the first 2 and go from there.
No, I'm just because I didn't watch the third, but then I'm seeing the references to the third, and I'm like, oh shit, I might actually want to go rewatch this, because it seemed like people shout on the third online, so I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it. Back when I did it, the watch like years ago, but now like looking at some of the scenes of what the story was about, I'm like, let me go back to that. So,
I know Angelus. I know you watched Kim's Convenience.
Yes, I love that show.
Oh yeah, I had a friend that was watching that.
So you're familiar too?
Yeah.
Then, like, so Simu Liu, who plays the brother on that show, he got caught up in a little bit of controversy that I want to talk about.
Oh damn, he's gonna be the first Marvel Asian hero. What do you do? Well, this involves Mark Wahlberg, and if you're familiar with Mark Wahlberg, if you go to his wiki page, he has like a hate crime subsection. Yeah, he's a pretty terrible person. People ignore it for some reason. I don't know why.
And so Simu Liu was very vocal about Mark Wahlberg escaping justice for the various hate crimes he committed in his youth. And then he deleted those tweets after it was announced that he was going to be working on a movie with Mark Wahlberg. And there's so many different things at play here, because this is an obvious sellout move. Like, he sold out. Plain and simple. But I think a lot of people have a hard time with admitting when someone's sold out. Like, it's the worst thing you could say about someone. But speaking personally, there's been plenty of times in my life where I feel like I sold myself out, where I was a sellout, because people who know me know that have very anti-capitalistic views. But there were times where I had to make ends meet, and I had to work at certain places.
That's me every day, fam. Not even gonna lie.
And you have to offset your beliefs with the realities of your situation. And I think that some people put a little too much emphasis on actors, and they think they have way more power than they do in a production. So I do think that there's an element of unfairness that Mark Wahlberg's crimes are that Simu Liu is being punished for them. What is he supposed to do in that situation? You know, like, best case scenario, he turns down a lucrative job offer because Mark Wahlberg's a racist. And this is an actor whose career is like just taking off after Kim's Convenience. He got like Angela said, he's got the upcoming Marvel role coming. This is just kind of a letdown, because he is, if you're familiar with him, he's very vocal online about progressive politics. But it seems like when he had a chance to actually take a stand that may have cost him something, he was not willing to. And he released a statement saying, "I deleted a couple tweets I made regarding the past actions of one of my co-stars as a gesture of professionalism and to open the door to progressive conversations and hopefully positive change. Obviously, it'd be pretty weird to go to work with that tweet still up. I was very angry hearing about what happened, but that doesn't mean I don't think there's room to grow and work together to find an opportunity to educate and do some good, which I'm excited to do in addition to filming the movie. Progressive discussion will lead to dialogue, and dialogue will lead to action.
Translation, yo, that chat.
Yeah.
Basically. And I ain't mad at him. Do what you gotta do, bro. It's hard for people of color, especially Asians, because they don't really get much roles out of like probably from what I can see, Shang-Chi. You know what that's probably gonna be about? Some Fu Manchu shit. So like, you know, hey, do what you gotta do, bro. I feel you.
The original tweet he's referencing is from 2018, in which he said, "Let me get this straight. Mark Wahlberg beat a helpless Vietnamese man with a stick until he passed out when he was 16, and is attempting to get the courts to grant him an official pardon on the basis that he's turned his life around." And then that's the tweet he deleted.
Yeah, the thing about that was Mark Wahlberg never apologized, and he still refuses. The guy went blind in one eye, I think. It's like,
yeah, that's the typical celebrity shit.
So I dug into this a little deeper. Mark Wahlberg, when he applied for the pardon in 2014 for the crime he committed in 1988, he at that point apologized to the person he blinded.
oh, no, I don't want like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people felt that it rang insincere because he was requesting a pardon, and it seemed to be kind of like a public theater to grease some wheels. This isn't the only thing he's done. When he was 2 years prior to that, he was throwing rocks at black kids and calling them the N-word.
I'm reading that right now.
Yeah, it's a hell of a story. But he had a history, and he served, I think, a month on a 1-year sentence. He served months instead of years on that sentence. For his defenders to look at the people who are upset with the lack of justice and to say, well, what is he supposed to do? It's this common thing where you're expecting victims to lay out what constitutes redemption, as if they're arbiters of that. They're just victims. Like, they're not experts on these things. And so it's really unfair. It's like, well, what do you want? What do you want him to do to make this okay? And it's like, there's kind of really nothing you can do once you've done this.
Yeah, we all know Marky Mark is something else. So, hey, dog, like I said earlier, get your check. As long as you don't be on some weird shit after the fact, I feel you. Like he said,
Mark Wahlberg, through his attorney, did say that he retracted his request for a pardon because it would emphasize how unjust and unfair the justice system is.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, this is not until he received backlash for requesting the pardon in the first place.
Oh, of course. Well, I just can't. I can't care about Mark Wahlberg enough to like just have a real opinion on him anymore. It's like, okay, feel the vibrations and just move the fuck on. I guess, you know, that was terrible. Need to be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bro, that was no.
You need to request a pardon for that.
Yeah. Oh, PogChamp isn't on Twitch anymore. So yay, nay.
PogChamp being what exactly?
The emote on Twitch
Of the expressive Asian face, the O face.
He's not even Asian.
Wait, what? I thought he was.
I thought he was Filipino.
Gutes is Filipino?
Yeah, I thought he
No
was.
way.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Really?
To Google.
Now that you say it, I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute.
I mean, you put Gutex into a Google search and it autofills to racist.
I mean, yeah, at this point, he's ruined whatever capital he had.
So Gutex used to be a fighting game commentator.
Personality more.
Personality.
Yeah, definitely. Him and
Oh yeah, nah. Gutex is Asian.
He isn't?
Nah, he's not.
Okay. Thought so. I was like, wait a minute. But yeah. Asian face. Wow. You made Twitch like 10 times more racist than it actually that it is.
Bro, my entire life I thought Gutex was Asian, bro. Like, I have never not thought he was Asian.
In retrospect, you made them more racist. So they had the PogChamp face, and then they had the fucking Afro Cole face, and still ain't got
his name is Ryan Gutierrez.
Bro, yeah. I've never known Gutex's real name, bro.
You didn't? Okay, fair enough. I gotta do it. So that's fair. That's fair.
But I don't know, because I'm on this search. It's saying that he's Asian and Mexican.
That's possible.
That's possible, yeah. Like, I legit thought he was Filipino, like,
but I don't know.
Ever. But yeah, ever since he lost his hair, boy, that man went off the deep end, bro.
Dog, it was there sooner than that, fam. It was way sooner than that. Okay, so if you follow the FGC, this dude,
give us a rundown.
This dude is amazing. Think of every like dude you knew in like high school and college that was like hustling hard and never went anywhere. That's fucking Gutex. Now it seemed like he had like a little success, and he did. He definitely did. But that was definitely off the back of Mike Ross. Definitely. But on his own, definitely not. He definitely had to. Mike Ross could probably do his own thing by himself or whatever. And he pretty much did, except Twitch and Capcom kind of fucked him over. But with Gutex, he always had some type of like scheme in the background. Either it's like tutoring players, like selling training and stuff like that, even though he was definitely like at a certain point wasn't that good at the game anymore. Like it was really interesting. This dude is like, so to see him go make mad like like anti-COVID, clearly racist on Reddit, got mad at was it Street Fighter Reddit? Probably is. I think it was like Street Fighter Reddit saying that they weren't racist enough, which is like odd because I'm pretty sure Street Fighter Reddit is racist as shit. And then like was like telling people to pray for the people that got killed at the this ties back to early today, early in the podcast, the damn insurrection shit. And so Twitch ended up just removing his Twitch emote that he never liked because he never made any money from it, which comes from like a blooper video they did when somebody knocked the camera stand over. So, yeah, this dude he
fell down the MAGA cult hole.
He was already there. Like one of the other players, Viscount said, he was like, if you know somebody that's in the industry, like the industry of just being like, because to be honest, and what makes it kind of sad is the fact he did pioneer a type of entertainment, type of gaming entertainment for YouTube, which is like two guys sitting there playing the game together. It's just Street Fighter in this instance, right? But him and Mike really did create something that was actually really dope and really good for the community and stuff like that, and really pushed it. But he couldn't push it far enough. He wanted to go even further beyond on some shit like that. But as a hustler like that, you know, people that's in those newer industries or whatever, they follow people like Joe Rogan. They follow people like Alex Jones and shit like that because, like I was gonna say, it's like if I know the mainstream media doesn't understand my skill set and stuff like that and my talents or whatever, which he did have a part in, you know, with the YouTube and content creation type deal, then what the fuck are they gonna tell me about my job and about anything else? You know, that's the logic that they have. So he was already there, fam. He was there. It just took time for society to move in a certain direction, and then him to kind of just COVID brought it all out of him. And then once Mike left and everything, and he was kind of on his own, that was it.
Yeah, he was a hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
That's what I remember him from.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, and then that was like right after we saw the video with the mohawk, with the faded mohawk, and I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is going on?" But he's been on the down. So ever since Mike left, it's been wild. Street Fighter V ruined a lot of careers. Oh man. So yeah, that happened. They got fucking a whole bunch of in memoriams for like the PogChamp because like a lot of like online personalities been saying poggers and shit, and it's kind of weird to me. I'm too grown for that part of internet culture now, so I'm not gonna miss it. I never use Twitch emotes anyway, so outside of my own. Damn, I can use those in my own like when I go on Twitch chats, huh?
You should make your own poggers.
I kind of did already.
I'm so upset that poggers was said on the podcast.
I mean, it wasn't said unironically, so I mean, shit.
Still.
Anyway, it's gone now. Twitch has been trying to recreate it, and everybody's like, boo. Instead of just letting it be, they use like other people's faces and shit for it, and it's like, nah, son. Just like you clearly want to separate yourself from the guy as is. Just let it die. Not my problem. So well spoken.
SoWellSpoken.com.
Yep.
I'm doing like my Mike Soapbox stuff on Instagram, so you can follow me at Mike Breezy92, MikeBRZY92. I talked about the Georgia elections, which hey, look, we turned blue again, gang, we out here, and the insurrection stuff and Trump, and how like Trump getting banned from Twitter isn't the worst thing in the world right now. Stop fucking fear mongering.
And I imagine by the time we record another one of these, we'll have a more in-depth rundown of the insurrection and the details surrounding it.
I don't think that's gonna play out till like the end of the year, fam.
Well, if nothing else, there'll be a lot of news in the next 6 to 7 days.
Yeah, like next week, Biden gets inaugurated, so we'll see.
We'll see if they let that happen.
Right. All right, guys.
All right, see you next time.
Yup.